Okay, here we are. Good afternoon. Welcome to the second part of the course. I kindly ask if someone of you can please close the door. Many thanks. Apologize for being a little bit late, but there is a technical problem with this screen and I cannot see the slides. So, but at least for the first part, I will manage like this. So, of course, this is 2023. My name is Antonio Vetro. I will take part of the data ethics part of the course. As you might have inferred from my previous communications on the web portal, I am affiliated to the Nexus Center for Internet and Society. It is an interdisciplinary center here at Politecnico, which mixes perspectives from the social sciences and the humanities with the classical perspectives of the Department of Control and Computer Engineering at Politecnico, with software engineering perspectives to study the impact of digital technologies on society. The center is in its 16th year of life, and it has some particularities with respect to other traditional research centers. It has a very strong attention to public dissemination, to preserve the public interest when studying and analyzing digital technologies. Regarding to the dissemination activities, you can find on the website all our public activities. At least 2 meetings every month are held, and they are all public. They are all open to everybody for attending. And I mention this because often there are intersections between the public events and what we discuss during the course. So it's just an encouragement to check out the website and activities of the centers. There is also a mailing list. There are 2 mailing lists, actually. One is monodirectional. That means only the center, it's a broadcast mailing list. Only the centers can write to this mailing list to be up to date to the events of the center and all other initiatives. The other one, that is Nexa, is the reference point in Italy for discussing on digital technologies and society issues. There are 900, actually, about 900 subscribers that every day interact with each other, discussing and debating on topics on the general subject of digital technology and society, articles, videos, etc. The last month, for example, there have been a huge amount of exchanges and a really high value about ChatGPT, for example. And some of the people who interacted in the list were also interviewed in national newspapers and TV and radio program. This is because in the list there are also influential people in the Italian landscape of digital technologies and society, but also normal citizens that have a passion and an interest on the topics, academics for any discipline, professionals, etc. Of course, the only material for the course is the one that I will upload on the web portal. I'm just mentioning this because this part of the course is highly connected to the activities of the Nexa Center. So if you discover that you like the topics, this is one easy way to deepen the knowledge on these topics, interacting with the Nexa Center. Of course, on person also, during the breaks, or in any other occasion. Let's have a look to the organization of this part of the course. The content from a high-level perspective is the one that you see in the web portal on the official sheet of this course. We will see together, starting from today, fundamental concepts in data ethics. We will make a few case studies, problematics that needs to needed and needs still today discussion, broad discussion, policy issues regarding data ethics. Then we will make a specific focus on the problem of bias in software systems and bias in data, especially in systems that are data-driven, that are based on machine learning and artificial intelligence, not exclusively, but especially because they are based on data, and we're speaking about data ethics. We will then exercise with statistical formalizations of a concept of equity that is called algorithmic fairness, and then we will have a look together and discuss in class about the ACM code of ethics and professionals. What is the goal that I'd like to achieve with you? The first one is a basic goal of understanding the consequences of the data-driven software systems that we will design and implement in your future, the consequences on society, and to let you understand that choices that you are doing as software professionals and that you will do are not only technical choices, but they have an impact, a concrete impact on the way that we live together. And the second one is that is a more difficult goal, is to evaluate the impact of data-driven automated decision-making systems with a special care on vulnerable people, on those segments of society that have the most negative impact when these systems are implemented not in a proper way. What you see on the here on this triangle, this pyramid, is the so-called Bloom's taxonomy. That is a taxonomy that aims at categorizing educational objectives, and okay, the mic is not working properly. Battery off. Prova. Okay, can you hear me? Yes? Is there any difference when I speak with the microphone? Okay. Not lucky today with the IT equipment. Yes, I was saying that this taxonomy is used to in order to classify educational goals. With the first goal, we are at the very bottom of the pyramid. The first one is remembering. That I think that it's something that you are already able to do. The second step in the taxonomy is understanding what you remembered, and this is what we are testing. I am testing at the exam as a first goal. And then you go up to the level of difficulty and the level of applications of what you have learned, applying techniques and to new situations, analyze a certain phenomenon, a certain fact, and then evaluate. That is the level of the second goal, in which you should be able to judge a situation about a system and decide whether it is controversial from the ethical point of view, whether it is improvable, and how. So this is what you are expected at the end to reach at the end of the course. And we stop at this level. The data ethics part is equivalent from the point of view of the score is equivalent to the data protection part. It is worth 15 points. I remember that the exam is written, will be done on your laptop, with your laptop, on the exam platform. So be sure that your computer has the latest version of the exam software and the lockdown browser. This is the way that you will perform the exam. The data ethics part will be 45 minutes long. Of course, notes are not allowed. And you have 2 sections, each one corresponding to these 2 levels. One question on the goal of understanding and blah, 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 and one question on the goal of evaluating an impact. The second question is a case. Or, well, usually I put it as a first question, but it is connected to the case study, is connected to the goal of evaluating the impact of a automated decision-making system. The second question is about theory. So I want to test the level of your understanding of the subject. Each question is 7.5 points to make 15 points, and 60% is the common traditional threshold sufficiency, which means 4.5 points. I tell this because the general rule that we apply in order to pass the whole exam, so data ethics plus data protection, is to have at least, 18, but also 3 questions out of 4 that are sufficient. Because this is a course that mixes both the perspective, it is important that you show us that you have reached a certain amount of understanding on both parts. This is the rationale behind. Are there any questions so far? Okay. What are the evaluation criteria? So I told you what are the evaluation goals, what are the evaluation means, that is open questions, 2 open questions, and how I will evaluate you according to these 2 criteria: correctness and precision of the answers. You need to be precise and of course to be correct. And this is something that I always remind, that only what is consistent to the question will be evaluated. So even if it is an open question, you need to answer only to what is asked to the question. Every year I repeat this, and I'm forced to repeat because many times often I see exams in which the students add further topics, further details that are not requested in the question, and I don't count them, or even I can count them a negative in certain cases. So please stick to the question. This is important. And then also, since communication skills are very important in such topics, the logical coherence of your reasoning, especially in the case, and the clarity of your argumentation will be a criteria of evaluation. So you need to answer in a synthetic way and in a clear way. It is clearly understandable. Because you are requested to reason, to explain why a certain case is controversial, what is a certain impact. And you need to be precise and clear, synthetic. As I put in red, this is not a traditional exam of engineering, where you are required to implement something or to apply some formulas. There are also formulas, but this is something different. And let's have a look at the statistics of the exam. Providing that we don't have, for some reasons that I don't know, we don't have the statistics of the very first year, are not available in the portal. These are public data that you can consult also by yourself. And so I took the statistics of the second and the third edition. Starting from the top, you can see that we are about 50% of success, which at the beginning there was this distribution of marks. Then last year was quite different because the central part somehow shifted both left and right. So there were higher marks, more people with higher marks, but also more people with reaching just the sufficiency threshold. Is a little bit more than 18. As you can see, there are quite a lot of people with 20, but also a lot of people with 10 to 8. So I want to be positive. However, as you can see, the rate of successfulness is raised, but not so much. I don't want to scare you. I know that COVID and the remote lectures had an impact. So probably this is also related to what we had in the previous years. But this is somehow something that confirms that this is not a traditional exam of engineering, where it is kind of challenging for you. Even if most of the lectures are discursive, most of them will be even interactive, will be like a debate. Take it seriously, because otherwise you don't match the expectations, the learning objectives of this exam. I can say from what I saw last year that attending the lectures in presence and participating with the lectures was clearly a factor of success. Clearly, this was clear. Because of the nature of the course. It is in part discursive and not just passing some knowledge. You are contributing to these debates somehow. Of course, I hope that this year we have a further movement of the marks towards the right, so higher marks. So I can already see that there is much more presence. So this is a good, I think this is a good point. How do you prepare for the exam? For this not traditional exam of engineering? Slides, as usual. Whenever there is a further reading, a text that is part of the exam, I put it on the web portal, and I clearly tell you that this is part of the exam, and so you are expected to read and study it. Everything is on the web portal. Then we will solve some exercises and past exams. I will try to solve with you all past exams done so far, all. If the planning of time will be right. Mostly done in class, so in case I will not able to solve all of them in class, you will be left with a solution also, so you can check it at home. The organization of this part of the course is quite linear. We will have first always theory, and then starting from the 16th of May, every Tuesday is exercises. So these are the days, the 4 days where we do exercises. I will record all the theory lectures with the virtual classroom. For me, the virtual classroom is just a tool for recording the lectures. It is convenient, it is integrated into the portal. I'm not going to check the chat. So right now, even I cannot check the chat because the display is broken. So whatever questions will be made by chat, I cannot see it. So at this moment, there is a virtual classroom active and I cannot see if people is asking something and what is asking. I'm not going to answer to those questions because the blended lectures are over now. Lectures are in presence, but I understand it is important to have the videos of the lecture, so I will provide them. There might be certain portions of the lectures highly interactive where there is a debate, and if I see that the recording might let you be more cautious or more shy in interacting with me, I might suspend the recording so that you are more free to express your opinion. Because whenever you make a question, so you say something, it is recorded. This is also an aspect that you should consider. Of course, only students enrolled to the course can access the video lectures. Exercises. I will try to record the explanations, both at the beginning and the end, but mostly these four appointments that you can see here are done without recordings for most of the time, because it does not make sense while you are doing exercise to record. In any case, you will have comprehensive solutions and explanations after the lectures. So in case you're not able to come, you know that in any case, you can do it at home with the solutions. I might signal you optional readings, and I will clarify that they are optionals, but they help in any case in further deepening the aspects of the course. Well, then, of course, to prepare for the exam, you have to study at home. Regarding this last point, and also to increase the level of let's say, of care towards this non-traditional engineering course, I remember you that the whole course is 6 credits. This part of the course is 3 credits. According to the academic credit system and how it is arranged at Politecnico, I remind you that 1 credit means 25 hours. So if we consider, let's focus only on the data ethics part. If we consider the 3 credits, it means 75 hours. We are not making 75 hours of lectures. We are making roughly 30 hours of lectures. That means that there is a gap of roughly 45 hours. Okay, this is bureaucratic stuff. Don't worry. but it's just a way of dimensioning what is the expected effort. Of course, the productivity is different from person to person. There are people that are able to understand things just after practicing it or after having heard in the classroom. And I'm not gonna recommend you to spend this amount of hours. I'm just remind you what are the official bureaucratic expectations about study at home. Okay, do you have any question? Yes, please. Raise your voice, please.
You said about that Internet and Society for Polytechnical, and you said they held several events and they can debate. These are in Italian or English?
About the public events, most of them are in Italian, but whenever you see that there is a communication with a title in English and with an abstract in English, means that the event is in English. I make, let me see if I can make an example. Well, I show you only here, will not be recorded. The next event, if I'm not wrong, should be in English. Let me check. Yes. The next event that is next Wednesday at 1 p.m. It is Ideal Technologies, Ideal Women, looking at the Redditor's AI and gender imaginaries of the replica chatbot by Iliana De Ponti from University of Loughborough. Other questions? Okay, I wanted to make this long introduction to the organization of the second part of the course in order to make your life easier, of course, so that you have everything clear. Whenever you have questions, also in the next classes about the exam, just ask. But remind to go back to the slides because I will strictly follow what I told you right now. Okay, so let me switch presentation. Just a curiosity, as far as you know, did the display work with in the previous lectures or not? You don't know. Okay. Okay. Now let's move. Yes, please. No, I did. Yes, I will. I did some last minute changes. and did not have the time to upload them. During the break, if I have time, I will upload. Okay, let's now move from the introduction of the bureaucratic and organizational aspects to an introduction more towards the real contents of the course. And we will have a look to the premises of this course, of this part of the course, the motivations behind this part of the course. And so trying to answer to the question, why are you forced to have an exam that covers data ethics? Let's split the question in two, and let's focus on the easier part, why data. This is easier because I'm sure that you, being a student of the data science and engineering master course, you well know the importance of data, but let's just try to set some common knowledge together. Data is a strategic, fundamental asset, a knowledge asset for, first of all, for science and for policy making, which is or should be based on scientific evidence. It is since the first year of the new century that the role and the quantity of data reached a relevant level. In 2010, The Economist made a cover that is the following one: the data deluge. Why 2010? Because these are the years following, well, in the late 90s, the broad bandwidth, viability of large, of high-speed connections at home, basically in offices, and then 2006-07, the mobile phones, the iPhone was launched, mobile connectivity had spread, and these were, together with miniaturization of electronic components, these were the enablers of a wide availability of data. And then we will have in the next years also many discussions among intellectuals and scientists about the revolution of the so-called big data. Here you can see some examples of books involving economists and lawyers, like this very influential book, Big Data, A Revolution That Will Transform How We Live, Work and Think. And as well, Data Revolution, even philosophers, Luciano Floridi, one of the most important philosopher of digital technologies, which called it the fourth revolution, the one of big data. In the scientific realm, this fact was pretty clear even earlier. So Nature published in 2008 discovered the science in the petabyte era. Now we are much more. And during the years, always devoted, the attention of scientists was always devoted to understanding how making science was changing due to this large and unexpected new availability of data. There were even scientists who were acknowledging the end of theory. That means that the traditional way of making science, that is, first you observe the world, you make some hypotheses, and you try to test them with some experiments and collect some data, was reversed. So you collect every data that you can, and then you extract facts, patterns, hypotheses, and even theories from the data. This was even a proposal of those years, pretty limited, I would say, and you will discover later in the course why. Here you can say in this slide a rough estimation provided by Statista on the volume of data that is exchanged, created, captured, copied worldwide. And so this was done in 2017. So from 2018 on, there are only forecasts, but the trend is somehow even more with the newest data. As you can see, there is an exponential growth of the production of data from any type of digital device. We are in the era of zettabytes, not petabytes, like the science cover in 2008. In policy making, this attention towards the importance of data was pretty clear at the highest possible level of the institutions, that is the UN. In 2015, the new UN goals were drafted. After the Millennium Goals, the Sustainable Development Goals were created, and were created after a process, of course, of reviewing the past goals, and with ad hoc meetings called the high-level panel on the post-2015 development agenda. That is, as I said, the transitions toward the Millennium Goals to the Sustainable Development Goals. And as you can see in this abstract, there were at the time very high expectations about the possibility to track the advancement towards the goals with data. We can data from not only governments, but international agencies, the Center for Statistical Offices, the private sector. A true data revolution, it is written in the report of the working group, would draw on existing and new sources of data to fully integrate statistics into decision making. This is a very important passage because we have a connection of the knowledge gaining part, the knowledge gathering part, with the action part, with the policy making, with a full integration that nowadays is visible on in many cases. So these are the Sustainable Development Goals that I think you know well, or at least you saw many times. Even this course is attached to one or more of these goals. For sure, reduce the inequalities, goal number 10. And if I well remember, probably also peace, justice, and stronger institutions. These goals are pervasive in institutions and as well also for justifying the third sector, and also in part also private companies, justifying the actions of the third sector. Here's an example of the type of data that you can check by yourself on the dashboards of the advancement towards the Sustainable Development Goals. This is a graph on research and development expenditure as a fraction of the GDP. When you have data, as you can see, it is quite shocking, I would say, that missing data is in practice half of the world. In half of the world, there is missing data about this and other aspects. This is a common situation that you will find. Thinking also to the most advanced technological nation, the United States. This is extracted from a report of 2016 from the National Science Foundation, the biggest institution for science of the US government. Unprecedented opportunities for data-driven discovery and, again, decision-making in virtually every area of human endeavor. Again, I'm stressing the expectations about decision making. That is what we will focus on. Here some high-level view from 2018 on what is the perception from the global north, or what is happening in China, where technological advances on in data-driven technologies and AI-driven technologies are very well articulated and very well regulated by the central authorities. China follows a different pattern of technological evolution. What is this different pattern? It is an evolution in which the state has an important role of orchestrator, while in the global north we have a different pattern that is market-based, where it is the market that leads the technological developments. And the state has to intervene, at least in the current organization, as few as possible. I want to describe you this slide without going too much into details. What is the Chinese social credit score? Always according to the perception and the documents provided in states of the global north, like United States, like Europe, it is a system in which data is collected from a myriad of sources, data from both individuals and organizations, in order to understand not only what are the patterns of behavior, but also in order to understand what could be the capabilities offered to people and companies. What are these capabilities? For instance, access to getting a passport, access to credit, both for individuals and companies, in order to manage in the best possible way the transition that is still ongoing towards an advanced economy, which requires large investment of capital. So it is very important that in order to avoid the bankrupts that we are witnessing continuously in the global north, in order to avoid these situations, data is useful in such type of system to control and make decisions at state level. This is I want to stress the fact that I'm speaking about the perceptions from the global north. China and Europe, and China and US are very, very distant, and they follow very different patterns of development. And there are also geopolitical tensions. So it is normal that what we see here is filtered somehow from the perceptions of our governments, and vice versa, expected from powers that are conflicting at the moment, that are conflicting each other. So I'm telling this to give you, first of all, an overview of the expectations and the leveraging of data, even in the highest possible level of institution and the regulation of the economy and of the technological developments. But remember, but also without any type of judgment of neither personal nor or any other type. I'm not with this. I'm not saying what is better or whether it is our way of development is better or the Chinese one. I'm telling this because we will cover during the course very critical issues. So it is important to stick to a scientific view on the facts. So as you can see from the individuals, you can see data from, common administrative data, data from the web, data from the business fair, insurance data, driving habits, travel data, telecommunication data, workplace behavior, integrated with data from the companies, the product quality, investments on R&D, environmental offenses, fulfillment of social commitment, and so on. The credit score gives availability and access to certain type of services. Having a phone contract, for example. Regarding having phone contracts, this is nothing that is very special to China. Also in Germany, it has been investigated that some people were negated a phone contract because of their credit score. It was built collecting data from basically from a large variety of activity, including activity in the web. This way of thinking is not new. It has the roots on the past, on the cybernetics revolution. This is a sketch from the 70s, from the viable system model in South America, where you have, again, a different mode of organizing the productive forces, the production of goods, materials, in which companies are controlled in large part by the state, and collection of data helps at the highest possible level of state government to make policy, as you can see. Here, this is the plant level, when you exchange goods, you extract materials, and so on, you sell goods. All this data in the planning of the viable system model were planned to be monitored and organized, orchestrated from the government in order to organize the economy. Something not new even in Italy. This was a proposal in the 60s from a famous mathematician who is called De Finetti, who proposed the so-called De Finetti board. This is a system of interconnected databases from all possible sources of data regarding, for instance, the utilities, water, electricity, phones, telecommunications, post, the official plans of the city, but also police, for instance, the health system, the welfare system, the Ministry of Labor, companies, banks, and so on. The idea was to interconnect both private and public services and to give this amount of data to first of all, to the Istat, that is the main statistics office of Italy, but also to government in order to do what? To make policies. We are very far from this sketch, and even I think it won't be possible these days to have this level of interconnections with the private sector. So this very long cultural description of why data is important from the point of view of knowledge and from the point of view of policy making has to be seen as a motivation and justification of the cases that we will see. We will analyze welfare cases of automation in welfare, automation in the health system, and so on. I think that it's time, before opening the part on the economic level, to have 15 minutes of break. Okay, so data as a source of knowledge and as a basis for policy making. This is the first pillar. Then second pillar, data as a strategic economic asset. It is more than 10 years ago when the Time published this issue with a cover on your data for sale. It was, if you remember, The Economist published the cover about the data deluge in 2010. So we were at the very beginning of this data revolution, and the pattern, at least in the global north, was already clear. Data, personal data of people for sale. So a new market has been created, and a market that in less than 10 years will become the dominant market in the world. And the mechanism is pretty simple. You use a service, most of the times for free, because the product is you. And there are these companies that are not very well known, but they have a very important role. They play a very important role in the data market. Those companies are the so-called data brokers. Who are the data brokers? Those are companies that collect, that buy data from different sources, data about you, about me, about everybody, and integrate and then resell this data integrated with many other sources, with some, of course, some profit margin, because not only of the integration, but also on the inferences that are done thanks to this wide and very deep data collection. We are speaking about data from what you are doing with your mobile phone, games, etc., etc. Of course, what you buy, not only online, but also physically. Whenever you use your credit card or that card, you are producing data that is given to a private company. Visa is a private company that has the right to resell and with certain rules this type of data. Social networks and any other type of information. There is a huge market here, and the result is data with some economic value, with some tags. Here in this blog post that I use to share with you this concept, you have what kind of inferences. People with depressions, for instance, so that we can sell them certain drugs, or we can expect them to vote to certain political parties. This is the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Well, psychological descriptions of the person were given in order to influence the voting of the people in UK. People who got recently married, and so they may buy a lot of things. Women in pregnancy. There was a case many years ago about the prediction of the state of pregnancy from the exchange of Google Mails, from what you write. I think that if you ever noticed, if you use Google Mail, that whenever you exchange a few mails on a certain topics, then all in a sudden you start receiving commercials on, or rather on directly on Gmail or on social networks, sorry, on exactly that topic. If you speak on WhatsApp about pizza, then you get the commercial of pizza on Facebook. That is easy because They are both from Meta. And so on. So inferences, categorization of persons and of their behaviors from any possible action and any possible sources. This is a huge, huge market. And this is an article from 2-3 years ago, if I well remember. This integration is very, very specific and details. This is the level of information that can be acquired by two important companies in this sector that are data broker. One is Axiom, and the other one that is more known for other products, it is Oracle. They are able to find, to track precisely on specific person information on whether they are expecting parents or new parents, new movers, they bought a new house, the type of credit cards that they hold, the purchases, hobbies, interests, level of income. If you know where I live from the GPS, then you can track with other types of data and you can somehow predict the level of income that you have, for example. Number and age of children, and then age, gender, occupation, etc. What you purchased, what you're interested in, what are your political interests or attitudes, what you searched for on Google, for instance. These are all traces, digital traces that we leave often, even when we are logged in a certain service. And since we are logged in a service, we give our consent to sell this data. This data is collected, integrated, recombined, and sold again. And similar patterns you can see in Axiom. This is very similar to what we have seen with the slides on the Chinese credit score, social credit score system, but on a different level, on a private company's level, and with different goals. If you are interested into the topic, this is a first link, and another one is here that you can deepen. It's not links that you have to study for the exam, just for your own culture. The phenomenon is so widespread that in 2019, an influential scholar in US written a book that is it's long to read, it's very thick, The Age of Surveillance Capitalism by Shoshana Zuboff. And you can have on the web also some reviews if you don't have the time to read the books and you're interested, because it is a new form of capitalism that is based on data about as I said, everything that we do. This is surveillance, either state or market surveillance. It is still a kind of surveillance on us. So that is everything that is done is tracked and is used to perform some kind of action. It is linked to a so-called actuator. An actuator can be a decision on our service or a prediction that then inject, for instance, a commercial advertising that is personalized to us. The data brokers market is estimated to reach $500 billion in the next 10 years. This is a forecast, an estimation, but this is huge. This is a huge amount of money, basically by many types of sectors, including government, that is the dark blue, retail, bank, finance, insurance sector. This is the largest portion of this in this market. Media. Most of these. So these are the percentages. While this is an estimate, in the next 10 years, this, what I show you is a computation of what happened in 2021 with some certain level of uncertainty, with this kind of distribution, mostly on North American and Middle East and Africa. Connected to the data broker market system is the digital advertising that is roughly at the moment is this amount of billions of dollars, exactly the same amount that we have seen for the data brokers, but there was a projection. This is real now. More than $500 billion in 2021, and the trend is projected to be increasing. And just to have a comparison, this is in US. In Europe, we are in a very different dimension. We are 1/5 of what is spent in US for digital advertising that is based on data. Less than 100. So 20%. Our value, our market value in Europe in digital advertising is 20% of the market value in US. No comparison. So Italy is even less. In 2000, this is data from 2019, so real, and then projections. We can consider roughly 3 billion euros in internet advertising. We might expand to the whole digital realm. We might, let's say, reach the 4 billions, but it's still quite a low fractions of Europe. This is 3-4% of Europe, and I would say 0.5% of what is spent in United States. So the dominant players, takeaway message, is in digital advertising based on personal data, mostly, is United States. The most important players in the market of brokers are Asia and the United States. No traces for Europe, unfortunately. Data is fueling the most profitable companies in the world. This is data that is fresh from a few days ago. Actually, yesterday. Yes. If you go to this website, companiesmarketcap.com, you will check. You can check by yourself public data on certain statistics of companies in the world, companies that are public companies that are whose actions or shares are exchanged in the market. You can have the market capital, that is the value of the stocks, the total value of the stocks of the company. You can get data then on the revenues, the earnings, the employees, and so on. In terms of market capitalization, the most rich company in the world is Apple, that is in the digital world. Part of its business is also dealing with data, not most of its business, but part of it. We are speaking about $2.6 trillion. We will be back to this value to understand the magnitude of this value in a while. Then now let's focus on the companies, on this ranking of companies and on their geographical location. So Apple is USA. Microsoft is producing, as you know, most of the money comes from Office software, Office data from the working environments because of the Office suites. Services to other companies, cloud services. Very soon, ChatGPT earnings. because it made a relevant investment on ChatGPT in OpenAI, actually, $10 billion. And we are over 2,000 trillions, sorry. USA. Then we have oil sector, traditional sector, Saudi Aramco, Saudi Arabia. And then we have Alphabet, only data, Google, USA, that is quite behind, is half the value of Apple. Amazon, logistic, but based on data services. And probably you don't know, but the margin, the earning of most of the earning of Amazon doesn't come from the packets that everybody, but from web services. Yes, very good, you know. It's not profitable, the post service. It is functional to kill other services, to own that market, but it's not profitable for Amazon, that service. What is profitable is all the data related services and AWS. Then we have not a data company, but always USA, NVIDIA, digital, not specifically on data, graphical processors unit, graphical devices, but they are very much used in the latest year for deep learning training. USA, Tesla, Digital Real, USA, Meta, USA, and then Johnson & Johnson Pharmaceutics, not data, but USA. As you can see, the digital is dominating the whole economy today, the whole economy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 out of 10 of the first 10 companies in the world ranked by market capitalization are from the digital world. And most of them, they base their business on building value on the data that they acquire. 9 out of 10 of these companies are from USA. So this is the reference in the digital world. And that's why most of our examples come from USA. You will find a couple of companies between the 11th and the 20th position that from China, and one company from Taiwan, production of semiconductors, and one company from the Netherlands that provides the machines to write the chips. But except this, no other companies from other parts of the world. So the digital world is made in USA. This is a fact. I'm not saying it's good, it's bad. I have an interest, but I don't share this here. This is a fact that you should take into account. Now let's go back to the magnitude of this data. This is so Apple. Let's take Apple. This is $2,500 trillion. What is this? This is more than the GDP of Canada. That is in the G8. Data from 1st September 2022. Is more than the GDP of Italy. Of course, annual GDP. But we cannot really compare the two things. But if Apple is ranked, is injected in this list, taking the value of its stocks, just of its stocks, it will be in the G8. So this makes this data that I wanted to show you makes very clear the balance of power that today has to be taken into account when we speak about regulation of the digital market, regulation of the digital world in a broad sense. States have to deal with the private companies and the same way that they had to deal with the forces, let's say, of the oil companies, the pharmaceutical companies, tobacco companies in the past. Of course, these companies have their own interest and they will try to preserve this power, economical power, that is in turn is a political power. I want to let you reflect on a fact. During the pandemic, when the states were trying to develop apps for contact tracing, they could not set their own standards. The standards, the technical standards, were not set even by, let's say, a technical organization, international organization like the IZO, like the IEEE. No, they were set by Apple and Google. Stop it. Digital, the app for contact tracing, they were possible only according to the rules set, the technical rules set by Apple and Google, because they provide the operating systems for the phone. This is the power of the private companies, of these giants, the web giants, the tech giants, and this has to be taken into account always in all our reasoning about the digital data world. If you play with the data and if you check the same website in the past, there are services that let you see the content of a website during the past, and I can provide you the links if you want. You will notice two facts from the latest 3 years. First of all, during the pandemic, some companies doubled their value. If you check the value of Microsoft before pandemic is around $1 trillion. Yes. So the pandemic made part of the population much, much richer. Unfortunately, a very tiny fraction of the population that is connected to these companies. The second fact that is still not clear why is that if you rank these companies by employees and then you check the history, you will see that there is a decrease of the number of employees a sharp decrease in the digital sector. It is not clear whether this is a bubble that was created during the pandemic or there is something else going on. The new level of automation that is possible, replacing people, or a shrinking of the digital market is still too fresh to get a clear understanding of the phenomenon. But this is Meta fired a consistent number of people. Twitter the same when Elon Musk came into the board. Microsoft is doing the same. So these were the premises for answering why data is so important. I'm sure you knew that data is important, but I wanted to give you some numbers, some facts, a bit of history of the latest 20 years to understand how we reached this situation in which data is fundamental for the economy and for policy making. Why do we need data ethics? And this is the second part of the question. let's break the monotony of a traditional lecture now by asking to you, what is ethics according to you? So I will now, let me first of all go to the activate the survey. And if you want, I ask you to tell with your own words, this is anonymous, what is ethics? I will wait a few minutes that you connect, and then I will activate the survey. Let me do like this, just a second. No, just a second that I share again the QR code, but from the presentation. Okay, should be active. Let me try. Okay, yes, it's working. I gave this question a few months ago in an activity with students from high school, the very first year of high school. And from a side, the result was very interesting. From another side, people starting to write whatever came into their mind, into the answers, including insults. There were students launching insults between themselves. So please don't play, because I cannot control your input. And that was quite embarrassing to show the results in front of the teachers, because results are shown in real time. So so we'll wait a few minutes, and then I will investigate on what is European about what is ethic. Okay, the number is quite stable. No, it's increasing. So, but we can start at least checking the word cloud and then a few answers. So ethics is retics, and that's okay. I see. Wrong. Let me. Okay, let me comment with. Can you see the mouse? Yes. Okay. Perfect. So wrong and right. Yes, ethics is about what is wrong and what is right. Society, ethics is connected, of course, with society. What is wrong with respect to other people, and that means that as both at an individual level and a collective level, a collective dimension. It can be about rules, yes. There might be rules, and it is a branch of philosophy, that's right. Moral, yes. It is about moral behavior. It is about, I'm just checking the most common words, and then we will switch to the definitions. It is personal. It can be connected with justice. You're right. Because justice is what is right and what is wrong. And if you do something wrong, you might also have to deal with justice. Different. Ethics is something that can be different from person to person, from society to society, and is another aspect because culture plays a very important role. There are ethical principles, yes, in a certain dimension of ethics, normative ethics, that we will see in a while. Bad and wrong, okay. Behavior, yes, of course, it is about what we do. And according to consequentialism, it's also about the impact of what we do, the consequences of our actions. It's zuppa. This is exactly what I feared, but not not at the level of the high schools, at least. I knew that I had this. The principles that regulate. Well, it's 6 p.m. That is fine to have this kind of stuff late in the day. The principle that regulate interactions between humans that live in a society. Okay. Good. Education, respect to each other, and discipline put together. Not always discipline, but it's in the good direction. Act according to morality. It's a bit circular because morality is also connected to ethics. A collection of behavioral guidelines shaped by culture, socioeconomic characteristics, and history of people. Very good. No, oh, sorry. Bad and wrong. Doing things in favor of social norms. Again, the collective dimension. I think you are very aware of it. A set of oral axioms that define or imply what's right and what's wrong. Very, very good. Values, yes, can be a certain type of ethic can be inspired to values, to virtues. The right thing to do according to society or a personal opinion. It's more than an opinion. Ethics are rules that are not placed by government. Instead, they are personal rules controlled by person themselves. Ethics could be influenced by culture, religion. They are not only individuals' rules, let's say. They can be also norms, ethical norms that are established by communities. It may represent social values, the middle ground between good and bad, yes. Awareness of the impact of certain choices and instruments on the society, yes, at least according to consequences that we'll define in a little bit. Norms that should guide what's right and what's not in order to live in a better society. The study is centered about what are the right or wrong way of thinking, way of doing for humankind. Usually it is about action, not thinking, but about the actions, what you do, not what you think. The principles you have to set up to make a good legislation that preserves human rights. This is very specific. Ethics is not by construction. We don't have to link then it is linked to human rights, and from a very high level way, yes, also to legislations, but not in a mandatory way. And zuppa, and that's okay. I think that you have a very good and clear idea of what is ethics. Let me go back to the... But we still need a common definition that I give you. From the Cambridge Dictionary, the study of what is morally right and morally wrong, or a set of beliefs about what is morally right and morally wrong. So it is a discipline of philosophy that helps humans, individuals, and society to understand what is good, what is right to do, and what is wrong to do. Okay. We have several types of ethics. I just want to point you to the type of ethics that we deal with mostly. We have meta-ethics that is about investigating what are the origins of ethics and the meaning of the ethical principles. We are not interested into this. This is not a philosophy course. We could be interested in applied ethics, that is examining specific issues, very specific issues, human reproduction, animal rights, nuclear war, and so on. We might touch some very specific issues, but we are mostly interested into normative ethics. That is, developing some principles, or knowing at least what can be the ethical principles that should guide our behavior, but not our behavior as individuals, our behavior as software professionals. What are the ethical principles and norms that can guide us in the constructions of data-driven software systems that takes decisions instead of us, or that helps us taking decisions? Because software automation is very pervasive and is touching the very way in which we are interacting each other, the very realm of our opportunities, what we can aim in our society, whether we can get access to credit, whether we can get access to welfare services, for instance. And it is very important, given the level of software automation driven by data, that we set up some norms of behavior in our work. There are several strengths sub-disciplines in the normative ethics. One is consequentialism, already mentioned. The other one is deontology. The other one is virtue ethics. We'll deal with all of them. Consequentialism is understanding what is right or wrong based on the consequences of certain actions, consequences of certain specific characteristics of our social system, consequences of the actions, the interactions of the social system with us. Deontology, instead, defines, it's like a top-down approach, defines what are the principles that we should, in the very first moment in which we are software professionals, to obey this. And they should guide our actions and our duties as software professionals. We will read at the end together, at the end of the course, the RCM Code of Ethics. It is a code, a professional code of ethics for software engineers. And this is the ACM Code of Ethics is belonging to a deontological approach to normative ethics. We will study statistical formalizations of fairness when a software can be defined as fair or not. And this is belonging to a consequentialist approach to ethics. And finally, we might reflect on other aspects of fairness based more on values. And this is an approach to virtue ethics. It belongs to virtue ethics that focuses on our virtues, or on what are the values that we pursue individually and as groups of people, and that are implicitly, most of the time implicitly, embedded in software systems. And why we are dealing, finally, we can answer to the, at least from a theoretical point of view, to the questions, why are we dealing with data ethics? Because there are a number of problems of data-driven systems that belong to the following characteristics. Epistemic concerns that arise whenever the predictions of your software system, the classifications of your software system are either not reliable from a statistical point of view, for instance, are not inspectable, are not scrutable. Can we have a look, for instance, to the training data of ChatGPT? No. This is a fact. I'm not saying that we should or we should not. But given the impact of this tool, that is a data-driven tool, maybe we should start debating this question. But we should be able to inspect the training data of system that has a huge impact on the way in which we work and we live. Or wrong evidence, wrong predictions, totally wrong predictions. The Netherlands Prime Minister had to resign a couple of years ago because of a scandal of software automation that was wrong, that was asking back to thousands of families, asking back money for welfare assistance that they got for their children because the software automation was wrong, was doing wrong inferences. Then it was re-elected, but this is something different. But had to resign. So the automation of software based on data is reached a level that is quite important for the way we live. And then other group of problems, ethical problems, unfair outcomes that are different based on age of people, based on the ethnic group they belong to, the nationality. So the same software is making a disparate impact. This is the right term. based on personal characteristics. So if I automate the selection of candidates and then analysis of the results of my CV screening tool show that I discard with a higher frequency women rather than men, this is a discrimination that is punishable by law. And these are real cases. Or if I show more often an advertising about a job offer or a house renting offer more often to white people rather than to black people, this is a discrimination. And these are real cases that will be studied. So these are unfair outcomes. This is a category of ethical problems. And that they can lead also to transformative effects because we change reality. If we deny opportunity to people based on their personal characteristics, this will have transformative effects on the life of the individuals, but also on the evolution of society. And the last group of problems that we will not touch a lot during this part of the course is traceability. Who is responsible for what? If ChatGPT says that I am a thief, who is responsible? We don't know. But it is say something false about myself. So and if ChatGPT is used inside a pipeline that gives then it is connected to some automated action, automated decision, this is a huge problem because I cannot track the chain of responsibilities. This is just an example from very recent cases. In Australia, a major was suited OpenAI because of false information about himself. ChatGPT said that he was involved in a scandal, tax scandal. A professor in US was told by ChatGPT to be involved in a sexual harassment scandal. Whose responsibility is? Open questions, open problems. We are at the very age of research and a social debate. And this concludes the premises. We are just at the premises of data ethics. So to sum up, we have seen that data are a fundamental asset for policy making for economy, that are among the most important pillars of our of modern societies. We have seen the power of the big techs that is huge, that is equivalent in certain cases to a power of states, and we have to take into account this fact. And then we started to reason about what is ethics and what kinds of general problems we will face in data ethics. Okay, I will not make a second break, but I will finish soon. I want just to start the next set of slides that we will continue, not on next Monday, lecture is cancelled, but on the 2nd of May. I already uploaded all the slides of today and of the 2nd May. I want to use, let's say, 10 and 15 minutes to set up a few concepts that we use during the course, and then you're free to enjoy the rest of the day. Impact of software. Do you know who is Mark Lowell Anderson? Yes, very important venture capitalist. He was among the founders of Netscape at the beginning. Then he entered. He makes a lot of money. He entered the board of invested in LinkedIn, successful companies like LinkedIn, like Twitter. He sits in the board of Meta. Is listed in the Wall of Fame of the W3C org organization. Is someone who has a long-term vision on the digital world. In 2018, in this interview in Wall Street Journal, he said something that today for us is quite says nothing new. That software is eating the world. That means that there is a chip and there is a software, or at least a firmware, everywhere. Your car, planes, your watch, if you have a digital watch. I don't, but maybe some of you has. Into a fridge, even TV, smart X. Whatever is smart means as a software. And whatever is smart means also tracks some kind of data from you. And that was 2011, was not obvious at the time. And then 5 years later said something again, it was visionary. Software is programming the world. That is about the transformative effects of software. Software automation is becoming pervasive, not only software, but also actuators that are linked directly to software. Software takes decision instead of us and gives shape, distribute opportunities, rewards, penalties to people. And decides instead of us a lot of things. And this is the era of artificial intelligence, as you well know. I will take for the rest of the course a definition of artificial intelligence. This is given by two influential persons who are Stuart Russell and Peter Novig. One of them is director of research at Google. And in their book, Artificial Intelligence, a Modern Approach, that is used in thousands of universities and hundreds of countries, they depict the landscape of artificial intelligence systems with this quadrant. These are systems that can focus either on the action or on the knowledge, on the way of organizing knowledge. And they can be evaluated either against human performances or ideal performances. So a robotic arm is in this quadrant. It is focused on action, and the measure of success is it should act like a person. And then we can have different criteria of success that is what is the goal towards which we develop our system. Can think like a person, should think rationally, think like a person. Maybe, let's say an example, it should recognize images of semaphores like a person. And this is the success criteria for these types of artificial intelligence systems. They should organize knowledge instead with respect to different criteria, or they should act with respect to ideal performances. We are interested in the act rationally quadrant, that is smart agents that acts with respect to an ideal performance that is given by who? By the software designers. The smallest unit of AI system is the agent, AI agent or smart agent. Is an agent that perceives information from the environment, including other agents, and acts according to this information towards the environment. A keyboard is an agent. Everything is an agent with this definition. It perceives some kind of information and produces an action. The agent's function for an agent specifies the action to be taken according to the data that it receives. As I say, the performance measures evaluates the behavior of the agent in a given environment. So an agent that is able to perceive the brightness that is outside this room should be designed in order to really perceive to a high level of accuracy what is the real brightness out there, in order to automate, for instance, the curtains to make the room darker or brighter. This is an example, or a simple example of intelligent system. And it should so design to maximize this expected performance measure. This is what you do when you train, you build a model towards a specific measure of performance. So this is a graphical representation. We have a certain kind of sensor, something that perceives from the environment, including persons, that is translated into data, operated by algorithms, and then an action is taken back to the environment. We have AI systems that are distributed. That means that they can exchange information with other systems in different locations. And they are called socio-technical systems because people are involved. An example of simple socio-technical system is, for instance, the telepass systems in Italy, in the highway. It recognizes your plate, your plate in of the car. It connects to another system to check whether you are allowed to pass or not, and then it has an actuator. It can grant you the passage or not, and then needs to be connected to a counting system. What are the characteristics of agents, AI agents that are defined like this? They are autonomous, they can take decisions, they can act autonomously, they can adapt to the environment, they can be trained, they can be retrained, for instance, they can adapt to changing requirements, legal requirements, for instance, and they allow interactivity with people or with other agents. So these are the three fundamental characteristics of AI agents. A particular type of AI agents are automated decision-making systems. They are systems that can they are composed of the following parts: a decision-making model, the algorithms that implement the decision-making model, datasets that are used mostly to train the model or to define a certain set of rules, and whatever is around them that had an influence on defining those rules. That is, the whole political, economical, social ecosystems that determine the rules, the performance criteria that should be used to design the systems, and so on. They are used today in every possible imaginable aspects of our life. Predict whether you are going to marry or not, or whether you're going to live with someone else. Predict the risk of violence at home, especially children in Denmark, for example. Suggest, certain cases, even decide whether you should change a major in your university course or whether you should enroll somewhere else. Identify best suitable candidates for job position, used a lot. Detect social welfare frauds in the Netherlands. take down content from a social network, and so on, so on. So every possible aspects of our lives is today mediated by automated decision-making systems. Usually, most of the times, they are developed by private companies for government authorities. So there is a strict collaboration between state actors and private companies. They are even used in the current war, Ukraine, Russia. Palantir is providing assistance to Ukraine to perform some data-driven analysis and support decisions. Whenever we have machine learning systems or AI systems that are used in automated decision making, we speak also of predictive optimization. That is the meeting point between AI ML applications, the automating of decisions on people, and the act of classifying, forecasting, labeling something. The union of these three things is ML AI-based automated decision-making systems that makes predictive optimization. This is a term that we use. A few statistics, and then I will conclude. It is according to this survey made by Capgemini and then graphed by Statista. It is data-driven decision-making systems are used mostly in the banking and insurance sector. This is also the dominant sector, if you remember, in the data brokers market. These are where decisions are most automated. But then any other sector is moving towards automation of decisions. Telecommunication company, healthcare, automotive, energy utilities, public services as well, and so on. The reasons are making decisions faster. The most cited reasons, at least from this sample of about thousands of managers. It's not representative, but it gives a rough idea. Perform better business operations, develop new product services. These are the three most mentioned reasons to automate the decisions. So basically to be faster. A recent analysis of the most real concrete ADM systems developed highlighted that what is marketed, what is offered by the companies is a high accuracy in the prediction outcomes, so to have better results, better fairness across individuals, so more fair predictions and classifications on humans, rather than whether the decisions was left solely on humans, and then efficiency, so faster decisions. Most of the times, these expectations are not met, I anticipate to you. So we still have to work on an ethical way of producing this kind of softwares. Because of the very fundamental epistemics in which these systems are based. These systems works, all AI systems works only if there are data. If there are enough data, labeled data, unless it's unsupervised training, but let's stick to the most used AI systems, most spread, diverse data, and data annotated by someone with the right answer. These are the principles of all inductive processes, all processes of inferencing something, some information, based on data. If you don't have these characteristics, it is much, much harder to have a good model that works very good. Let me check whether I should go on or not. Yes, let me go on just to finish the slides, and then next time we will start with the concrete examples. When I speak about inductive inference, it's a very particular type of inference that is complementary to other two types of inference. One is deductive, and the other one is abductive. Deductive inference is the traditional way of inferences. It's the way that we followed for in the whole history of humankind, basically, to structure our knowledge. All humans are mortal. Socrates is a human. So, deduction, Socrates is mortal. This is the way of deduction. Logical inferences starting from some facts, rules, and then we deduce, we infer some other facts. Then inductive, we start from data. I observe that I know that 96% of Flemish college students speak both Dutch and French. Louise is a Flemish college student, so I have a quite high probability that Louise speaks both Dutch and French, based on observed probabilities. And then abductive is a bit of a mix of the two, but it implies also causation. So I observe something, I give explanations, and then I infer based not only on the data, but also on the explanations that I gave. And the explanations are based on some type of knowledge that is structured according to deductive inferences. So it's a mix of the two. And it is really, really a human characteristics that the machine cannot at the moment do. Well, they can do deductive inferences and they can do inductive inference. At the moment, they cannot do abductive inference. Well, ADM systems based on data and machine learning and AI are inductive. They make inductive inferences. They have certain characteristics. We can go, they're ampliative, so that we collect some data and then we can go beyond the premises that are contained in that data. And we can even infer from a subset of elements to the general set of a given population. So this is very theoretical, but just to fix this important concept that we're speaking about inductive inferences, and that they have some problems, important problems, whenever we try to predict what? Social outcomes on the life of people. This is very interesting, but I think it's better to do next time. That is the 2nd of May. Have a nice evening, and see you on the 2nd of May.